Everybody see all the
I'm opening the Granby Planning Board
This
meeting.
conference is no longer being recorded.
Oh, that's weird. No longer being recorded.
Well, we're recording it. So,
Yep.
I'm going to take roll call for the record. Bob Sheehan,
Present.
Lillian Camus,
here.
Rob Chauvin,
Here.
Jason Smigel, here, Jim T, here. Our consultant, Ken Comey,
Here.
All right, first item. I don't see any bills.
That's good.
Yeah, it is. How about minutes?
We've got the March 8th minutes to approve.
Yeah, oh, here, okay.
Sure, everybody had a chance to speed read them.
Oh, actually, I did. I've got a couple of corrections.
Ooh, this is good.
Minor at best.
Minor is good.
It's usually Lillian with
On page 2, bottom of the page, fourth line up from the bottom.
Oh, yeah, Lamb.
Yes.
That was my shorthand.
I understand.
I thought I got them all. Evidently missed that one. Okay.
Page 4, a little bit better than halfway down. The paragraph begins, Jim Tromke would recommend Mr. Amex. That should be Ames.
Ah, darn that spelling correct there.
That's all I had.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 8th, 2021 minutes as written and amended.
We have a second? I'll second. Jason seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor? Bob?
Aye.
Lillian?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Jason? Aye. Jim's an aye. Motion carries. Okay. We've got a few minutes here before the hearing. Will, is there anything you want to go over while we're waiting?
No, unless you wanted to do the zoning bylaw amendments, it's only a quick thing there.
Let's do it. We got time. Might as well make the best of it, right?
Yep.
Sure.
So everybody got the copies that Ken did, right?
Yes.
dated February 22nd, 2021.
That is correct.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and I ran the new timeline past Kathy. And we need to approve the public hearing notice today. If I can get it to Kathy tomorrow, which if we approve it today, I can get it to Kathy tomorrow. Our timeline goes, March 26th is the first public hearing notice. April 2nd is the second, and we keep April 12th for the public hearing date. So everything falls into line after that. Now, I have one change that needs to be made before the public hearing on the canopy use and regulations, where we the new section there. And under general business, we have it as site plan approval planning board. Yeah, if we have to, in keeping with the green community requirements, it has to be allowed by right. So we would not have any site plan approval on that. We would have site plan approval on the driveway that's underneath it or the parking lot that's underneath it, but not the canopy. So that has to be changed to a yes.
I think I disagree with you.
And why
It's
would,
still subject to site plan approval. It's just not a special permit. That's the way the bylaw was written, that site plan approval, it's allowed by right, but it still requires a site plan approval, the way it
Are you
stands now.
are you talking the large scale? The regular large scale? We have two now. One that
Yes.
involves the canopy.
Yeah.
I don't think that will fly with the green community if we say that is one of our locations for as by right.
It is by right. And it's not, but it's still subject to a site plan approval in the business district. Just
Okay.
like Dollar General, that was by right. It was still subject to site plan.
Yeah, but that's something different. We're talking green community requirements. We're not talking everything
Correct.
else.
I'm pretty sure,
You say by right, you can't put restrictions on it.
no, but you can make sure that that it's designed correctly where it's not running water off onto somebody's property. Check Ken. What's your two
Yeah, I was taking a quick look at the DOER sheet with regard to the criteria one. It does suggest that as of right, zoning bylaws can apply appropriate standards that protect public health and safety and provide for non-discretionary site plan review. Reasonable environmental performance standards per the developed bylaw may be incorporated into site plan review process, but cannot be so stringent as to make the use infeasible. So the fact that it is now, if built over a parking lot with site plan approval by the planning board, does suggest that it wouldn't be the stringent review process that a special permit would require. So I think it does meet the ability to it is by right, but it does require a review of the site plan.
So you're saying it's what it is.
Yeah,
And the reason behind that is we need to look at it to make sure it's not detrimental to the community, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, with the zoning protections that are in the bylaw for site plan review in general. So the same criteria that you would use for any other site plan review, specific to ensuring dimensional regulations are met and any sort of stormwater calculation. The fact that it isn't a special permit where there is the ability to deny and put through the review process, that stringent special permit process, I think does meet the criteria that is required for the green community designation.
Okay, so because we cannot deny it, we just have, we can
Yeah.
put some restrictions on it, but we can't just outright deny it. That is it by right.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, I hope that'll fly.
Well, again, Will, there's a look at, like, does it meet setback requirements? Just because it's by right doesn't mean you can meet the property line. Does it, is there certain portions of it that then to protect it from electrical setback?
I think if you, yeah, as Jim pointed out, I'm reading, this is, I think, the key sentence. The key is that site plan review must be truly non-discretionary. For example, if the standards and zoning requirements are met, the project can be built. This is distinct from the special permit in that the special permit may be denied if the planning board or other permit granting authority is not satisfied with the project. So I
That's
think that yeah, that's on the criteria 1
okay.
from fall 2019.
Okay. So I don't have any changes then on that. Just
So board,
on
I'll
the,
be, go
ahead.
ahead, Lil.
well, we need to vote on the public hearing notice, that's all, so we can get that to Kathy.
Well, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to forward to Kathy Leonard the public hearing notice for the bylaw amendments as such.
We have a second? I'll second. Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Bob?
Aye.
Lillian?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Jason? Aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Well, we got 2 more minutes.
Yep.
So board, regarding the map changes, I do have a proposed map that I will share with the board tonight, or send it to the board tonight.
Okay, great.
Okay, great.
Jim, did you ever get a chance to talk to Chris Martin about if they have any better indication if there will be a May annual meeting?
I called the office. I didn't get an answer. I spoke with Kathy. Said I needed to speak with Chris. And I've got a text into one of the select board members to see if they have any inkling.
Okay, so no new update yet. Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to close the regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to close the regular meeting to open the public hearing on at 4107R Carver Street, and the meeting will reconvene after the public hearing.
we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Bob,
Aye.
Lillian,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Jim's and I. Motion carries. I have 5:15, Monday, March 22nd, 2021. Continuing the hearing. The nature of the hearing is to consider the petition of John Playchek, applicant and owner, seeking site plan approval under section 6.3 of the Granby zoning bylaws, applicable of section 3, regulations 3.7.5, accessory uses regarding a private garage or stables exceeding 1,200 square feet in area for a detached garage, hobby storage at 107R Carver Street, Granby, Mass. Okay, we were asked to continue this to today's date by the applicant. Is the applicant present?
He's not online.
Is there anybody on that's representing the applicant?
No one, just us, Kathy and GCAM.
All right, so
Jim, I was gonna make a motion to continue the hearing until the applicant is present with us.
okay,
Do you want a date on that, or the conservation is not meeting until April 13th?
Maybe then we should put it out to the 26th.
That would be the next time we would be meeting after that.
Right, well, we would be scheduled to meet the 12th, right? Of
Correct.
March, of April, and then
Correct,
the 26th.
correct.
So I'll make a motion that we continue the public hearing to April 26th at 5:15.
do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Ken, I have a question. By continuing this, does this interfere with any deadlines we're on to?
No, it wouldn't. Based on, this is specific to a site plan review, not a special permit, which would have those implications. So you wouldn't be interfering with that. However, we probably should tell the applicant that we are moving that public hearing to that date, just so that he is aware.
Okay, any further discussion?
I can let Kathy know to let the applicant know. That, well, next year, the public hearing is moved to April 26th.
Anything else? All right, all those in favor? Bob,
Aye.
Lillian,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Jason? Aye. Jim's and I. Motion carries. We resume back to our regular meeting. Guess we got an application here for New Ludlow Road.
That's the one at the blacktop plant, Jim.
Yes, looking for it now. nothing here. I don't see it. Yeah. No, I have nothing on it. I don't think there was anything to review, really. We sent him back to no, there's nothing here.
I'm just babbling away here and unmute. You were gonna talk with Greg Briggs to get an official decision regarding the location.
I did.
Yep.
And he needs to see a site plan approval.
Anything in writing from Greg on that one?
No, just the other one.
Okay. How do you want to handle this?
Well, we can't do anything unless we have an application before us. And he was, I believe Greg told him he needed a site so that we could circulate it to the various boards to make sure there was no concerns. Greg had concerns about not having a site plan and being that close to the wetlands. I believe that was conveyed to Mr. Ames. So let's move on.
Well, we need something from Greg. And I don't know he knows to give us something. I can ask Kathy to relay it,
Yeah, we can do that.
send us something so that we know where everybody stands on this and what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, well, like I said, my discussion with him was he was going to deny the permit until he had a site plan approval. I mean, we can ask him for something in writing, having him state specifically what he's looking for, I suppose. I'm not opposed to that.
Or as well, having him specifically state why he's denying the approval of the plan.
Correct.
And well, I guess we can also find out if he notified in writing Mr. Ames, so Mr. Ames knows what to do. Because we left it at the last meeting that we were contacting Greg.
Okay.
Got it.
I'm just looking at the agenda here. It says review submitted application. So,
I believe that's
All
what
right.
it said last time too.
We do have one. However, there is no signature by the applicant.
And no date.
That is correct too. It's, yeah, I mean, so we can't even really call this an application. It's not complete.
Right, and I think we were just supposed to review it to see what else we needed, but since our discussions at the last meeting, we should be getting something from the zoning enforcement officer to tell us what needs to be done. You know, he needs to have this, and this, so he needs to see the planning board.
Hmm.
Pretty sure Greg had a discussion with him. But anyway, we can ask Kathy to have Greg be specific in a letter like he did for this other one.
Okay,
And to CC,
Mr. Ames?
well, Mr. Ames, as well as, what is it, Northeast Asphalt or whatever the name. That way everybody's all looped in.
The name of the applicant, you mean?
Oh,
Name
yeah,
of
the
Applicant
The-
representing.
yeah, the name of the applicant is, it looks like Eurovic Atlantic Construction. However, I thought I saw something in this package. Yeah, the title box on the plan that was submitted, which is nothing more than a wetlands, or a thing developed by Oliver, says that it's Northeast Paving. So I don't even know who are we responding to? Northeast Paving or the Eurovic?
Eurovic is in Winter Park, Florida.
Right. Northeast Paving is in Northfield, Mass. I guess what really has to happen is that Charlie Ames has to be contacted. These are questions that have to be answered. Greg Briggs has to give a reason as to why he sent this to us. And maybe he merely sent it to us to, hey guys, what do you think? Any need for anything here? Myself personally, I don't see the need for any further discussion on this. It's just a canopy over an impervious area with stockpiled materials on top of it for the purpose of making blacktop. But that's just me. So we asked Greg, why was it sent to us? Charlie Ames is contacted and say, or once we have that answer, then Charlie Ames is contacted and said, this is what you need to do after we meet.
Telling him we needed a site plan. So he should know that piece of it, so that we can circulate it to see if department heads have concerns. We talked about that at the last meeting.
That you are correct.
So let's just table it. You can You can ask Kathy for more information from Greg in writing, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
17, bike shop. Has everybody read Greg's letter?
Gre-
I have. Kathy sent it on Wednesday, March 10th.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Will.
Yeah. It's, the subject is 52C West State Street.
Okay, so we're waiting on the applicant, according to the last sentence, that Greg Briggs has spoken with the new tenant a few times and is coming up with his thoughts on signage. I will be addressing whether they fit the bylaws or not. And Greg is, actually, I guess, do we know if the applicant has a copy of this letter from Greg Briggs?
I do not know.
Well, I think what Greg's looking for us to do is to lift the conditions that were put specifically on Lamoureux. Currently, there are to be no full-time employees at the building. I suppose we can lift it to take it off the conditions, but the planning board really doesn't have any authority to tell a business owner whether or not he can have a full-time employee. That's got nothing to do with a site plan. And then the parking, there's 3 parking spaces there. That's what was allowed. If that's all he needs, then so be it. That's all he needs.
Well, Greg says the new tenant has shown me a plan with several more spaces in the back. Unless that's for the other building in the back and he's using them.
I think that's part of what was approved in the beginning for that whole site.
So he says, generally, it seems to me the planning board should ask what changes the new tenant proposes. If none, so be it. So,
Well, he hasn't come to us with any changes. He went to the code enforcement officer looking for a certificate of occupancy. So as far as I'm concerned, other than lifting the no full-time employee,
well, we'd
can
have to
use
do
it.
more.
What's that?
We have to do more than that because all 6 of those conditions were specific to Lamoureux and his business.
But he's not asking for any of those changes. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I don't think you mean Matt is not asking for those changes or Greg isn't asking?
He hasn't come before us and said, look, I'm going to be operating this building and I need 5 more parking spaces. All we know is that he was going to go into the building and use it as it was originally approved, with the exception of the storage of bulk items and no full-time employees.
So how would we go about lifting or changing or whatever that one restriction there, 1 or 2? Yeah, the height of mulch storage and concrete blocks, because he's not doing that.
No.
And the storeroom garage is to be used for repair and maintenance of Lamoureux landscaping equipment only. We don't need that. I suppose we could leave, there shall be no plow or sanding equipment on the property. We'll take out no full-time employee at the building, staff only for appointments. The sheds or any other articles for sale shall not obstruct the view of abutters exiting onto West State Street. We could leave that. Proposed shed areas to be located at least 12 feet back from the front berm. We'll take that out because unless Matt tells us he needs a shed there,
Correct.
we go about adjusting a site plan approval. Ken?
Lil, excuse me for a second. Lil, can you give me the date of the email I think that you shared regarding this with the old provisions in place?
Oh. I can send it again if you want. That's probably easier.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
So you need the original, the 2006 site plan approval.
Yes.
Okay. Ken?
So your question was how to go about amending the special permit or the site, or to have,
Well, does it get amended or it's in Lamoureux's name right now? It's not specific to him, so should it be to somebody else?
I think my recommendation would be to remove the special permit and have the applicant file accordingly based on the use that he intends to use. And that approval would supersede whatever previous approval there was.
And how do we go about doing that?
So assuming that the bike shop is an allowed use in the zoning district with site plan approval, go through the site plan approval process.
So he needs to go through the site plan approval process.
But then, of course, the planning board can waive certain requirements, considering it is an established building and may, have existing infrastructure or landscaping or certain elements at the site that the planning board is okay with, in addition to the review of the special permit, considering any of those ideas, and then, having the approval be based on the existing infrastructure, any sort of new parking plan that is different and a departure from the special permit conditions, or, any of the other conditions. That would be my recommendation. And I think it sounds as if the amendment of the special permit wouldn't it would keep the special permit, I guess, for lack of a better term, alive,
That's a
knowing
site
that
plan review.
knowing that this particular use is an allowed use without one. So might as well, because it's a new use,
This is a site plan review, not a special permit.
correct. So you mean the
The
original, the
Yes.
original? Oh. Yeah, I mean, it would be, I feel like it should go through the site plan approval process to remove those conditions. I mean, that would be my recommendation. I don't know if there is another way other than amending that initial one and then just removing the conditions that don't apply and then switching the applicant's name to, the one that is now, should now be enforced based on that particular parcel.
But you're amending so much, you might as well just do a whole brand new one.
That would be my suggestion.
It'd be cleaner, and if you do a brand new one, does that automatically negate the other one?
Yes,
Okay.
We got to be careful on what we do here. In that, on that particular piece of property, we're talking two separate buildings. And in the 2006 decision on the first page, they're designating, they meaning the previous planning board, have designated area 52A as the proposed Lamoureux landscaping and 52C for the back building, if I'm reading this correctly, which was wait a minute. No, Bill's used cars is 52A and Lamoureux is 52C. So do we even know who owns this property that Matt will be renting from?
Last I heard, it was Wenda Luft.
Okay.
So is he gonna
Oh, wait a minute.
be the front or the back? He's gonna be,
I'm assuming he's going to be in the front because I think
according to
I
the drawing.
saw
yeah.
something from Jim.
Yeah, he's gonna be in the front. But that doesn't show any parking spaces at all, well, except for the 4 concrete blocks there, that I guess is supposed to be parking spaces, but there's no parking spaces shown in the back, so how far does what he's using go?
Right. Well, you see, they've got a common driveway that comes in off of Route 202 and just clips the what would be the southwesterly corner of the first building and the northeasterly corner of the second building.
Mhm.
Although this planning board decision in 2006 was just made out for the listed the applicant as Sean Lamoureux. Did not talk about whoever Bill's used cars is.
Right.
So Kenneth, what you're saying is to clean up this site, meaning the parcel 52C, we should go through a site plan approval, and it would just be neat and clean to remove any of these conditions that were set forth by a previous planning board. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, I think that, you know, tackling this particular site, because this happened to be specific to Suite C, 52C, would allow the board to, you know, if there were appropriate conditions, add those conditions, but it would wholly negate, you know, whatever was previously at the site and the previous use. So the easiest way, in my opinion, would be to have the applicant or the, you know, propose the new use with the new considerations for the site, anything that you would be as a board reviewing with regards to site plan approval or site plan review, like parking, landscaping, addressing those items, and the planning board acting on any waivers for that information should it wish to. But I feel that that would eliminate this questionable 2006 decision.
Okay. So what we may want Matt to do is put together an amended drawing showing parking, possible removal of those 4 storage bins that are shown on that plan, and how he may want to answer Greg Briggs' letter. You know, in other words, whatever else he can add to it, and we just go from there. We don't have to have a public hearing. The only thing we would need a public hearing on would be if he wants to go above and beyond on signage. Is that correct?
I think we've made this determination before that because of the way the bylaw is written, site plan approvals and site plan reviews get treated the same way as special permits with regards to advertisement and abutter notifications. So that's the only kind of hiccup. It doesn't have the same scrutiny as a special permit. However, the process by which the site plan review occurs in Granby is specifically prescribed to follow the process for a special permit.
Let me ask this.
Yeah.
Is it the business owner's responsibility to apply for this, or the property owner's responsibility?
I think in the past, the planning board has accepted either. Normally on the application, you would list both the owner and the applicant. I think it's, however, the applicant and the owner of the property would handle that. But planning boards, I think in the past, yours included, would review this based on, you know, understanding that there may be a different owner than the applicant.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know. I'm open to any other suggestions that anybody might have.
Okay, here's my 2 cents on this thing. We've been beating this up for way too long for a simple business trying to move across the street. If I was him, I'd go to South Hadley. The planning board has the authority to weigh whatever it chooses to do in respect to this type of a matter. The previous board members approved something with a special permit because what it was doing on that site, storage of bulk material is not allowed. but they gave a special permit, put certain restrictions. What I recommend the board is vote to waive a formal site plan review, remove the conditions that apply specifically to the landscaping of storing bulk material. Then Greg has the ability to say, okay, the planning board's good with it. We approved it for 3 parking spaces. He's going to operate a bike shop there, and you can give him a certificate to occupy. That's my 2 cents. Anybody else?
I think it would be cleaner if we we don't have to do a detailed site plan review. We can do a really quick one, but we need to cut it off really cleanly. Otherwise, it's going to be totally confusing from now on with that property, and it's going to be even worse later on. We're only going to compound it.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'll let somebody else take a stab at this one.
What is your motion for? I mean, what do we need to make a motion for? That I mean, we didn't hear from everybody here.
No, but I've asked.
You have. We have 2 different opinions right now.
And I'm okay with that, Will. If that's what the board decides to do, then let's do it and get it over with so this guy can go about his business. He's going to do one of 2 things. You know, he may move in and be selling bikes long before we get our act together.
I'm kind of in the opinion with Jim. We need to let this guy get, his business up and running. Otherwise, he's going to relocate out of town.
Which is fine, but we also need to make sure it's a clean break from the other. Otherwise, it's totally confusing. And he could be, Greg could come back at him on something that has nothing to do with him right now, but it's still left over from the site plan review from before. We need to clean that up and it doesn't need to be this big involved process of a regular site plan review. It can be a really quick one. Like Bob said, we just need to know a few little details here and that's it. And I don't know, Ken, can we even waive the abutters requirement?
That's a good question. I would have to do some digging. I mean, I don't know if you would necessarily want to get town council involved. I don't know
Well,
if you
town
could get.
council. And I did talk with town council, and we can lift the conditions that were placed on Lamoureux. But Lil wants to do it in a way that somehow it'll look cleaner if someone looks at it down the road. And quite frankly, the planning board had no authority to put a condition of having a full-time employee in the building. I don't know what I'm not quite sure what they were thinking when they did that.
Well, they did, and it's there, so we need to correct it. Otherwise, Matt might be in trouble down the road. We don't know. We might be making it worse for him just sliding it through.
Okay, so other than what Greg has sent us, we don't have an application before us.
No.
To me, this is more of a housekeeping thing that the planning board should deal with. And quite frankly, if
Jim, I would tend to agree with your way of thinking of,
I get what Will's clean it up,
yes,
but we've been batting this around way too long for a simple process. And it's kind of on us.
and as a member, I'd hate to see the bike store go over the town line, lose that business.
I'm not saying he is. I was just a remark that we need to,
No,
and I'm not
but it was
blaming any.
it was a
We need a board to get these simple things done without overthinking them, and get the process rolling quicker.
Well, if we didn't have all this site plan review from before, it would be pretty easy. We wouldn't have to do anything.
That is correct. But this goes back to an original statement that I made originally, that technically that those site plan restrictions should follow the name of the applicant, not the property.
Correct. Because quite frankly, correct. You're correct. Those were specific to the type of business that was being run there that was not allowed.
Right.
So if it's a whole new business, then we don't even have to do anything. If you follow that logic, the site plan review just goes away. Is that right, Ken?
So if your logic is that the approval for this site plan review is specific to that applicant rather than to the property, 52C West Street, then how would you interact with a new use for that parcel? Like how would you go about reviewing that, or approving that new use and whatever whatever conditions come with that new use?
We wouldn't need to, I would think. That would be up to Greg Briggs to decide.
The zoning enforcement officer would determine if the applicant needed to come before the planning board for a certain use, or or site plan review.
And what he's saying is, it seems to me the planning board should ask what changes the new tenant proposes. If none, so be it. So maybe we just need to get Matt back in for one more session and say, so what are the changes you're going to do to the building? If there isn't any, then fine. We don't need to talk to him any further, correct? It's a use that is approved in that area. And if he's not making any changes, we don't need to get involved.
So a retail use that would be allowed in that zone without any other type of approval, without, or obviously, again, the determination comes from the zoning enforcement officer on what type of permitting or what additional zoning relief through the planning board or ZBA would be required. And if the zoning enforcement officer said nothing, then it would be a determination by him and a building permit.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to recommend. I'm going to recommend we make a motion to send Greg Briggs a letter stating that the following conditions were specific to the Lamoureux operation at this particular site. And with the new business occupying that site as a bike shop, it's allowed in that district, in that zone, by way of right. And then if he wants to come back and say something different, then that's fine. But I think we should just send them a letter stating that, because if in a year from now the bike shop moves and Lamoureux decides to go back, the 2 years haven't expired, he still has to comply to the original conditions that were placed on him for that site to operate. If 3 years go by, he'd have to come before us for a site plan review for a special permit to do something that's not allowed in that zone. I think it's just as simple as sending Greg a letter stating that the conditions placed on Lamoureux were specific to the operator, not the site. Does that make sense?
Is that your motion?
No, it's not my motion.
What, is that a motion?
A motion. And it's a motion with those conditions, the operator, and a couple of the other things that Lillian called out.
You want me to make the motion?
I would love for you to make the motion.
Okay. I make a motion that a letter be sent to Greg Briggs stating the following conditions were specific to the Lamoureux operation at this specific site, and we'll list the conditions. With this new business occupying the site as a bike shop, it is allowed in that zone by way of right.
Do we have a
I
second?
will second. Bob will second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Bob?
Aye.
Lillian?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Jason? Aye. Jim's an aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay.
Wow.
We got there. That's the important
It's
thing.
more fun when we're all together. Okay, next item. DOT project. Lil was able to get us some plans. If this goes through, I'm kind of excited about it. I think it's going to make some huge improvements to the 202 stretch, especially that dangerous intersection on School and 202. With that cul-de-sac or roundabout or whatever we're calling it.
I think they're calling it a roundabout.
Yeah, those, you know, it was several years ago, they started removing those rotaries. And now they're back. And I don't remember, it was back in the 70s. I don't know what it had to do with mileage or, I don't know. But they removed the ones, reconfigured the ones on Route 33 and those other ones around that they removed. And the double roundabout up by Atkins, has anybody been through that one?
Oh, yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, but it's smooth sailing. There's no stop and wait and people trying to jump out in front of you as much as it was before.
Right.
And I can see that being a huge help on School Street. Has everybody had a chance to kind of review it?
Myself to a limited degree.
Yeah,
But-
same one.
The state's going to do what the state wants to do anyway. And if I'm not mistaken, these drafts are only 25% complete. Didn't I see that in a cover letter or something for this?
Yep, correct.
Yeah.
You know, so everything is subject to change to some degree, I guess.
Well, I think, yeah, with the state, I'm sure it will. There's some curb cuts I think they're going to be straightening out as well as they widen it. Okay, well, if nobody's got any discussion on it. I don't know as if we need to send a letter to DOT.
I could send an email to Susan MacArthur letting her know that we did not have any comments.
Yeah, I would say we could do that. Say no comments at this time.
I think that's the best way to put it, Jim, at this time.
I should probably make a motion so that covers us. So I make a motion that I send an email to Susan MacArthur, letting her know the planning board has no comments on the DOT project from Kendall Street to School Street at this time.
Do we have a second?
Bob seconds.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Bob?
Aye.
Lillian?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Jason? Aye. Jim's an aye. Motion carries. Very good. Very productive tonight.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Before we do that, do we have anything for our next meeting, which will be April 12th?
April 12th.
That's your public hearing,
That's what?
the
Our-
zoning amendment.
Oh, so I suppose we could have a meeting then. But do you want to do that?
We should, what time was the hearing scheduled for?
Let's see, I should know that. Let me look at the public hearing notice. 5:15.
5:15. Well, we'll see what's on the agenda. I mean, we'll meet at 5 like we normally do. Schedule our meeting, and then we'll see how it got time to address anything that's on the agenda, we can address it after the hearing. I don't know how much participation we're going to get.
Okay, so our meeting starts at 5 and then 5:15 we'll go into the public hearing for the proposed zoning bylaw changes. And then we'll go back into our meeting if need be after.
That good with everybody?
That works for me.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
And we had one thing on the open items, and that was me getting everybody the Route 202 from Kendall Street to School Street plans. So we're going to call that complete.
Thank you,
Sounds
Lewis.
great.
Okay, so I'm still looking for a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Bob,
Aye.
William,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Jim's and I. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night.
Bye-bye.